Chapter 9 from the Handbook for Humanity series, Book 1, The Simple Truth. Chapter 9, Religious Fanaticism, the sixth cause of human suffering. It's been said many times that God helps those who help themselves. My question is, why doesn't he or she or them or it help those who cannot help themselves? Example, the thousands of little children who die of starvation each day. A little joke. Eskimo speaking to the missionary. If I did not know about God and sin, would I go to hell? Missionary to Eskimo. No. If you did not know, Eskimo, then why did you tell me? It seems that from the moment the first human beings looked at the night sky, they felt an uncontrollable impulse to be connected with something higher than themselves, a spirit, an all-powerful being, a God, something. Now the history of mankind is strewn with the ideas and artifacts this search for that higher power has produced. Many religious organizations have been formed and many different religions have been tried. And it seems that the main outcome of all of it has been arguments about who has the inside route to that higher spirit or God, and the suffering, destruction, death from all the conflicts that went along with those arguments. What happened? What caused that idea to turn out so bad? What happened is that basic impulse of spiritualism got taken over by a small group of insightful individuals who recognized what a great tool it would be to control large numbers of other human beings. Now, even with all the bad that has taken place over the idea of religion, people all over the world still believe there's a power in their lives greater than themselves. They believe in some kind of divine being or beings. Some believe in many. Some believe in one God. Others in many. Many even pray to him or her or them or it every day that passes. Within the ideas and beliefs of many of the religions of the world, in one form or another, is the idea that God will return to earth and maybe even save some human beings for a better life in the hereafter, or pass judgment on the lives of every human being. Some people even believe that there are other intelligent living beings out in the universe that visited earth in the past and were mistaken for gods because they could fly and do things other that ordinary people could not even understand. Some even believe that these aliens promised to return, and that this is where the idea that God is going to return one day comes from. Who knows what is right or wrong, or what is just a myth? No one. If you hold any of those ideas of thoughts within you about God or aliens ever visiting you, maybe you should look around at the awful mess you're living in here on earth and realize that you have to kind of put your house in order before you can properly welcome any visitor. Anyway, who will you welcome? Who's coming? Is there only one true religion and only one God, or many, or none? If there is only one true religion, which one is it? What is it? The way things stand today, If you do select one religion, all the other religions will tell you that you have made a mistake. Therefore, the only universal agreement among all religions is that they do not believe in each other. That actually means that all religions agree with the atheist, except when it comes to their own religion. Since there are over 3,000 different faith groups around the world, each religious person, no matter which religion he believes in, is 99.97% atheist toward all of humanity's other religions. Okay. Through this narrative, an attempt will be made to inject some common sense into the discussion so that maybe humanity will come to realize that religious fanaticism is causing too much suffering, too much destruction, and death to be allowed to continue. Offhand, it seems that if the world would just adopt a simple idea such as live and help live, that would bring all the conflict to an end and allow all beliefs to live peacefully together. If so, then religion could be removed as one of the roadblocks to a better world. It's very difficult to calculate whether the net effect of religion on humanity has been positive or negative. That is being said because, so far, there is no proof anyone ever went to heaven, but there is absolute proof that thousands of human lives have been lost in religious conflicts. However, it's also easy to see the beauty in its ceremonies and traditions that adds to the lives of so many. And that may, in fact, be one reason why the poor do not kill the rich. One main premise of these writings is to promote the right for all human beings to be free in all aspects of their lives, and that includes the right to believe in any God that they see fit and to worship that God in any way they like, as long as they do not interfere with the rights of others in any way during the process. This is very important because much harm has already been done to the human race by twisted religious men or groups identified with various religious organizations. Religion, as it is known today, is a hybrid that has been created by combining spiritualism, which is an individual's feeling of connection to a higher spirit or power, with ethical and moral behavior, which are aspects of how an individual acts in his culture here on earth. In its organized form, it's just a way for a few to control great masses of other human beings. Those in control are able to pull it off even though an individual does not need any other human being or organization to be spiritual. If you doubt these statements, think about this. When you go to a religious service, aren't you seeking a spiritual connection to a higher power than yourself, to God? If so, why do you listen to your religious leaders when they preach to you about other things other than your spiritual connection to God? Think clearly. Don't you realize that religion of today is a made-up word that represents your desire to have a connection with a higher power than yourself on the one hand, and accepted moral norms of the culture that you're a part of in the other? Don't you realize that some powerful religious organizations hoard the wealth of the world just as the banking cartel does? Can't you see that a bunch of old men have created a business that allows them to live the easy life off the weekly donations you give at their services? Don't let the brainwashing you received as a child prevent you from seeing that you can be religious and believe in your God without allowing yourself to be used as a pawn by those who are using religion as a tool to control the wealth of the world. Organized religions use everyday cultural concepts as transport vehicles for their religious message, which all have to do with creating beautiful mental pictures of miraculous events of the past, as well as constantly reminding their members of the terrible thing that can happen to one's soul if he or she does not toe the line. Surrounding the flock with expected behavioral norms in the ethical and moral areas of their lives here on earth, and holding out the hope that one will pass on to a better place, are the controlling mechanisms used by most of these organized religions to ensure that their organization will continue to be able to wield social and economic power in order to extract money on a regular basis from large groups of people, their members. Over the centuries, many who were in control of various governments, as well as many religious leaders, have used large sums of money and forced many to suffer and toil uncounted hours, days, years, and even centuries, building massive cathedrals to be used as places to worship one god or another, while human beings all around them starved. In fact, many of the best architectural efforts of the human race have been dedicated to this endeavor. Europe is covered with thousands of imposing Christian churches and cathedrals, as well as ruins of temples which were dedicated to pagan gods. A great number of these old buildings are still used today by various sects of the Jewish, Islamic, or Christian faiths. Tourism in Europe would lose most of its attractions if the Greek and the Roman monuments to their gods, along with great Christian cathedrals and churches, the historic Jewish religious sites, and the mosque of the Muslims were not there. The world would surely be poor if they did not exist. However, everything comes with a price using the debt money system. So, just think of all the money that was spent on all those grand edifices while people were starving all around the construction sites. It is noted somewhere that men with whips had to be employed by those in charge of building St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Italy, to keep starving children who were begging for food out of the way. My question is, why didn't they just give food to the hungry children? It's easy to see that organized religions, just like governments, aim to control as many people as possible. It all goes back to old Bruto, the strongest one in the caveman society. The more people you control, the more political power you have, and the more political power you have, the more influence you have on the way the world goes, and the more wealth you control. In the past, many governments reacted against religious organizations because they were in competition with them for the same thing: control over the masses and their wealth. However, now most governments have made deals with individual religious organizations because they decided that it was best to cooperate with them and divide up the pie being the wealth of the people. In some countries, government-sanctioned religions have had so much control over the lives of the people that failure to answer the ringing of the village church bell could mean punishment for the offender. Systems have also been in place for centuries where humble village people had to sit in a small booth and confess all their sins to the local priest. This was nothing more than a way for that church official to keep up with everything that was going on so he could have better control over the lives of the people of the town as well as their wealth. If you don't believe that, read some of the writings by the priest Casas de las Casas, who lived in Central America during the time of the Spanish occupation. He's the one that wrote that. An assessment of how religion stands among human beings today might be like this. It has the strongest hold on the minds and lives of those who are suffering the most from ignorance and poverty. Fewer and fewer wealthy people bother with religion any longer, and those that do are usually politicians or in the limelight in some way and want to appear religious. Actually, mainly the poor are religious today, and the greater the poverty, the darker the blanket of ignorance about the real world envelops the person. Many different organized religions also throw their brand of religion out as a crutch to the poverty-stricken and ignorant. And just as a crippled man holds on to his crutch, those poor suffering souls grab at it so that they will have something to lean on when they are dirty and cold and their children are dying from hunger. However, it is only an illusion that may momentarily distract them mentally, but will never actually clothe them or feed their children in their time of need. While the poor suffer, rich religious leaders will continue to sit on their mountains of gold and let them suffer, just as they have done for centuries, because freedom from poverty would also bring education, and that would lead to questions about some of the nonsense they are being fed by those religious leaders. Religion did serve a useful purpose in times when all men were less knowledgeable about the universe by filling the void of ignorance with a positive message which taught societal values and peaceful coexistence. Many religious organizations have also continually operated so-called charities for the poor and helpless, which have done some good, but they really are nothing more than a sham because they continually collect money, and the goal is to always show a positive balance for the church in the process. Some religious organizations are so rich and have so much influence over the lives of so many that they could actually do what these writings are attempting to do. That is, change the world so that there would be no more starvation, poverty, and pain, and death from uncontrolled disease. But they won't, because they know that they would lose the grip they now have on the minds of the poor. The seeds that have been planted in the minds of many by the different religions have grown in the darkness of ignorance to create divisions between people who hold different religious beliefs. Now these divisions cause conflicts based on those religious differences and fuel the fires of hatred and discrimination. This dark side must be dispelled by the light of truth, which exposes the false prophets of religion, because their basic aim is to control as many human beings as possible by keeping them ignorant. The more people you control, the more power you have, and the less competition you have in the pursuit of wealth. Ignorant people must be helped to gain basic knowledge, education, about how the world really is, so that religious fanatics will lose the ability to brainwash them. There are national governments in existence on the face of the earth today that aid this practice by having written statements in their constitutions that allow certain organized religions to make the final decisions on what can and cannot be taught in their public schools. This is a disgrace imposed upon humanity by self-serving institutions for their own good, and this practice makes them nothing more than giant pyramid schemes, using this method to constantly supply themselves with new members. It absolutely allows brainwashing of small children before they are mature enough to decide for themselves on religious matters. The practice of placing young children in religious schools for the sole purpose of indoctrinating them into a specific religion, as is being done by brainwashed parents, is the foundation of these religious pyramid schemes. No selling involved. The young simply grow up believing what they have always been taught. Schools should be a way to expose children to all of mankind's collected knowledge, including religion, But all religions have to be presented to all young people so that they are made aware of the fact that there are choices available they might like to explore. The situation of the world of humanity is so bad